All righty, guys. Welcome to Coffee Experts Club. Great to see everyone. Hope you guys have been enjoying marketing so far. Stephanie was fun last week having her. It's funny. You sit in with enough meetings with Stephanie. Drew and Ben and I were just like, we know how this is going to go because you ride, like we did so many marketing meetings with Stephanie. So it's fun just to have, her join us, show us some of her magic. Get excited about things she gets excited about. I think it's always awesome to talk to people that get excited about the stuff they're in the middle of. I mean, Stephanie does a lot of marketing for a lot of different peoples, but I know Roasters was kind of her pride and joy for all of us. I think there was a season where like it was our heart. We were so all in, and all of us, have kind of come beyond that and grown in that. But I think that it's just fun to bring the band back together. Who doesn't want to get the band back together? Which leads me to Mumford & Sons reference. I'm hoping that they get the band back and we get some 2022, Ben. Ben, do you think it's going to happen? If I was to give you a 1 to 10, you think it's going to happen?
I mean, didn't they kick one of their band members out?
No, bro. That's not, I don't want to give it into delicious. All righty. Enough nonsense. Okay. So this week we decided, Ben, me and Drew, to talk about the practical nuts and bolts of a marketing promo rollout. So I think that, we've had a lot of experts on so far. We had Lindsay come on, talk to her about, and just to back it up, Collab Team doesn't specialize in marketing. We're never going to boast that we did. What we have done is been involved with a lot of companies that have rolled out cool marketing. And so I feel like we have comments on how what we've seen it done, practical, good things we've seen, things we haven't seen so good. But we all agreed and concurred that if you don't have a plan that you're operating from, everything feels real jerky. Everything feels real like, what are we doing now? Where are we going next? Like the whole thing just feels a little crazy. If you don't have a map, it's easy to get lost, right? It's easy to wonder like, what am I supposed to be doing right now? And it's easy as owners or people running things to feel the pressure of all eyes are on you, like you're supposed to have all the answers. But if you'll just put in just a little bit of planning, like if you'll just set out even just a loose structure for how you want your marketing to look for the year at the beginning of the year, it helps you not to feel so knee-jerk. So Ben, you were going to talk a little bit about your experience with Megatron with Starbucks and then the rollout in comparison to Roasters.
Yeah, I mean, it was two completely different experiences. One was organized and one was chaos. Starbucks, they're just, I mean, they're the king of the hill for a reason. Everything they do is very well structured, very well planned out. In my time there, specifically related to marketing, we would get shipments of marketing materials a quarter in advance. So we were getting, when I worked there, we were getting pumpkin promos, peppermint white mocha promos, all of their specialty drinks, all of the mugs they're putting out, all of those cardboard kickstands they put everything on. You get that the quarter previous and you actually sit on it. It's actually wrapped in like, do not open until X date. Yeah. And then, a night crew was scheduled who comes in and flips the store for the next quarter's worth of promos. But it was just so well organized. You open up your box of promo materials and it has the cardboard bill outs with the directions on how to put the bill outs, the directions on how everything's exactly supposed to look. Very much like a retail store. If you ever worked at any other sort of retail store, they have that where it's Yep. The floor plan looks exactly how it should look. And that's, I mean, obviously for most smaller coffee companies, you don't have that kind of material. You don't have, cardboard build outs for your merchandise, but
wouldn't it be cool though? Like
that would be sick.
Ryan, like at the front of Human Being Rise, you go up to it. That would be amazing. In a costume saying ho ho ho. As people drove by, it was just like sensitive, like motion sensitive, just like ho ho ho, yo yo yo. What if it was like that would be the best.
But it was so well planned out, and there's a lot of pieces from that you can take into a small coffee company or a single owner coffee company. On the flip side, when I moved to Roasters, especially during the early days, it was just like, okay, we're doing this tomorrow, go. Or here's our drink of the month. I need you to have it ready tomorrow because tomorrow's the new month. And it's just like so many times where it's like, the new drink promo didn't get put up because it was supposed to go up tomorrow, but then the barista working the morning shift couldn't find it because there was no communication on where it was. And it's like the owner drives by and there's no new drink promo up, and they get all pissed because they're like, what about the new drink promo? And you're like, if only I had more time.
I gave the idea yesterday. Why isn't it out yet?
Yeah. Exactly. So it's just the less that you have planned out for your marketing, the more chaos. It's just inevitable. It will cause chaos. And honestly, especially with roasters, when we didn't have a plan, it gave the owner the opportunity to just knee-jerk stuff, and we'd all be going, I don't have enough baristas for that. How are we supposed to do that? Like, we don't have the product for that. So creating a marketing plan also takes that ability away. Like, they'll still knee jerk, but with the marketing plan, you sort of take the desire to knee jerk out of the visionary. It's like, oh yeah, we know what's going on, instead of, I don't know what's going on either, so we're doing this right now, and call somebody in.
I think for the visionaries, most visionaries live like, so Collab Team advocates obviously for EOS, which is Entrepreneur's Operating System from Book Traction. Gino Wickman is the author. In EOS, they really advocate for Colby scores. And all Colby scores is how your people meet up in a numerical way on the grid. And usually most visionaries are high in quick start, you know what I mean, but low in fact finding and low in follow through. Like, that's what a visionary is, and they live their life like that. In fact, that's what makes them magical. A lot of times they have these brilliant ideas and they're the high energy and they're going to go push, they're going to ramrod the thing through. The downside can be, though, is if you allow your company to be built on that, the bigger and bigger it gets, every new person is a multiplier. So every new shop you open up multiplies, every new thing. And then it's like, it's not just your one shop anymore. Maybe that worked when you had one shop and you could knee jerk and you were like going to ramrod through your people one shop deep. But if you have 4, 5, 10, 15, like that's a huge shock wave you send through the whole company of like, everybody is feeling this, like, quick, get it out the door. So even if I think you're just starting with just a very simple month of January is this, we need to be thinking about this. Month of February is this, Valentine's Day. Month of March, like we're starting to kick into spring, like thinking through whatever your promos are based upon your season. Maybe there are some seasons that are more ideal for giving, so really thinking through when's going to be a benefit. I know like back to school is a cool time if you're going to do backpack stuffs, or like Christmas is a great time for gifts, or Thanksgiving, great time for turkey. There's cool non-profits that are probably already doing really cool stuff if you want to partner with them and they're giving stuff. So I think but having some sort of loose framework. I'm not talking about how you're just going to put all the screws into the visionary's excitement. The visionary is going to want to have some excitement as she runs the company, but like giving them some kind of track to keep on the rails so that it takes the pressure off of them too, right? Because as the top of the organization, you start feeling this pressure of, I need to come up with something, which leads them to be more erratic, which leads everybody downstream to feel the burn, So if you can just give them some sort of track to live on, hey man, this is what we're thinking for the next month. Like if you have some magic you want to spice it up with, give us some insight, and that gives them some tracking to think through, oh, well, this would be cool and this would be cool. And I know the majority of visionaries or leaders of companies that I've worked with will all say they would rather somebody start them with something than just to come up with it on their own. Like they're not good at planning as it is. And so then you're going to put that pressure on them to come up with a plan. So I would say anybody watching this call from an operational perspective, which is obviously where Collab Team specializes, I would say give them fuel for the fire, man. Even if your plan just is fodder to go on the flames. I mean, even if they're like, yeah, this is great, scraps the whole thing and just go to something else completely, at least you've given them something to think through. And Ben and I always talked about, I feel like this is one of Ben's ninja tricks but he's subtle. The Clatterbucks, they're a subtle breed. Like we called it Ben's inception. Ben would make a suggestion and he'd pitch it to the owners. Hey, I was thinking whatever his idea was. And then we'd watch because maybe initially it'd get shot down. He'd be like, no, that's a terrible idea. And then
always
a month later, it gets repackaged and now it's their idea. And Ben doesn't care if he gets credit. He just wants some order and he put the thing into motion, So I think sometimes just realizing you may not get credit, but you're definitely going to feel the benefit. Drew, do you want to speak to that at all? Just chaos versus order?
Yeah, something that I learned over time was if you have an idea you want to bring to them, write it down. write down contingencies. I know when it's someone else's idea, when it's the leader's idea, the contingencies aren't as important as if it's somebody else's idea. So when you come with your idea, make sure you have backup plans, make sure you have from start to finish how it's going to work. It's definitely a lot more effective, and it's hard to prevent fires when you're putting out fires.
I think we talked a lot about that through the years, about how much is fire prevention and how much is like putting out fires. You know, like I think in any business you're going to deal with putting out fires, but the more that you can be Smokey the Bear and be, you know, like prevent some forest fires, cutting fire breaks, like keeping people on track, I think that's the best advice I can give. So we're going to talk about today. I thought I'm going to give you just some nuts and bolts. I'm going to show you some of the things we've been doing with marketing lately and kind of take you through the process of things we've been thinking about just to get your creative juices flowing. Now, I'm going to show you what we do. We obviously don't do coffee. I don't have a coffee shop. It's not Collab's Brews down the street, you know, but it's like, but this is like, for those of you who hear these good ideas and you're like, Aaron, I just need some practical tools of how this could possibly work. How can I set things to a plan and see it execute? That's what I'm going to spend some time on today. We don't necessarily do marketing plans for people at Collab Team, but we are good to brainstorm with. And so I'm going to give you an example of something that's time sensitive, you know, so there's probably different things, you know. If you're going to do a Valentine's Day drink, you're going to probably need to keep that near Valentine's Day, right? Like that's a time sensitive, but there are other things that maybe you're doing promos, you're doing your extra stamp if you're still doing stamp cards, you're doing your twofers if you're doing twofers, maybe you're discounting, you know, you have those static deals that are going on throughout the year, happy hours for different stands, like if you're trying to generate business in the afternoons. But this is more like a time sensitive one that we're doing at the Collab Team, and I'm going to walk you through our creative process. So let me share my screen. So I had this brainchild of let's offer annual planning. Annual planning is something I feel like I've sat in on a lot, and I've done a lot with a lot of different companies, but it's something that's pretty like time sensitive, right? If like annual planning doesn't really work all that great if you're planning in September, you know, unless you're planning for the next year. You want to be able to ramp it out. So I have this idea of let's start offering annual planning, but I'll start offering it in December, January. You know, by the end of January, it's probably going to be we're going to stop running ads for it. But it's essentially just me trying to take the stress off of visionaries. You know, there's a lot of stress the visionaries carry into needing to have a plan. So the whole thing is about taking stress off. I would always suggest when you're doing your marketing to find the pressure point you want to lean on. If you've worked with people in coffee, you know what the pressure points are that they feel. And so that's obviously going to be the solutions that we provide. Or, you know, we do annual planning for online entrepreneurs. We do it all the way across the board. So this is just talking about the stress they're carrying. They probably carried it too long already. Why not let a team who's been doing this for other people help? You're good at what you do. Let us be good at what we do. Simple, right? And then an call to action button. Then just to our clients, give them some call outs for that. But the way that it all started was, and this is the process I wanted to walk you through, is I had this idea of, okay, let's talk to people about the destination, not the process of getting there. Because a lot of entrepreneurs, they're not going to want to talk about like sitting through long meetings. Like that is not an exciting thing to sell people on. But if you can sell them through how they're going to feel on the backside of it, that's going to get you further. So I took some pictures and started dropping some text into it. And this is the creative process I use with Savannah. Savannah on our team handles all of our ads. And so I pushed it over to her. So this is one of mine. I grabbed the picture, dropped it in. Another burn that CEOs finding pain points. A lot of CEOs feel the pain of what their team expects out of them. So this one is how your team feels after you've completed an annual planning. Like everybody wants to feel like the rock star, right? Everybody wants to know your team is cheering for you. Like everybody wants to know you're not the idiot that's dropping the ball. Like out of that guilt of I should be better at this. I should know more than this. So this is promoting it with them. And then finally, this is my favorite one. How you feel after you've scheduled your annual planning. So essentially just who doesn't love Maximus? Like who doesn't love, are you not entertained? Like there's some like just victory in it. So anyway, it started with me grabbing some ideas, jotting down some simple thoughts just from my phone and shooting those over to Savannah. So then Savannah gets it. And Savannah starts putting order to my madness and starts dropping me in links of how they're turning out. And she creates within Canva. So The nice thing about Canva is it's a free tool for those of you who are liking free. And it's very easy to use. Now, I'm gonna play just a quick clip from Savannah walking you through some of the things she looks at and thinks at from creating ads inside of Canva, because I think it's a good thing to think through. But the nice thing about Canva is that as you go into it, everything is super user friendly. So as you come in, you know, you can choose, like, and Savannah talks about this in a video, so I don't want to rob her thunder, but you can kind of choose a general layout you're working with. You can drop in your own pictures. You can drop in your own elements. You can embed your own links. You can do all these sorts of things, and they also start you down the right road with where you're going to be posting to. Last week, Stephanie said, hey, find a medium and commit to it. Like if it's IG, if it's Instagram, commit to it. If it's TikTok, commit to it. If it's Facebook, commit to it. And the nice thing about Canva is they give you a lot of those different things. So I'm going to play a quick video for you from Savannah on Canva, because I feel like it adds some value and gives you some tips and tricks. So let's see how this goes. Playing a video on a video.
Hi everyone, this is Savannah from the Collab Team.
Can you hear her?
Giving you a quick overview on what Canva looks like and some of the differences between Canva Free and Canva Pro. So right now I'm in my free personal account here, and Canva Free is a great place to start. You have quite a few options on fonts and free templates and free elements that you can use to create ads and fun collateral for your social media, for your brand. I would say that while Canva is very generous with their free trials, you'll see different buttons and pop-ups, lots of options to sign up for a free trial and or sign up for Pro, which is $12.99 a month. I would recommend, if it's not in your budget, to not try the Pro trial, just simply because it is really hard to go back to the free version once you get a taste of the Pro version. So a few fun things about the Pro version. You get about double all the elements that you get to use, all the fonts that you get to use, the templates that you get to use. You really get like at least twice as much when you're in Pro. Another really important feature is having a team. And when you have a team, you get to share designs with each other. You can have unlimited folders to store your shared designs, which is really nice versus the free version where you can create a team, but I believe it's smaller. I think you're more limited in what you can share with each other, and you only get a couple of folders. You have a much smaller memory. Another really awesome Pro feature is Brand Kit. You do get to use Brand Kit with the free version as well, but with the free version, you are limited to that's a Pro version. You're limited with the fonts that you can upload to be your brand fonts. So when you use Pro, you can actually upload purchased fonts versus in the free version, you can only use Canva existing fonts. You can also only have one brand in the free version. And when you're in the Pro version, so I'm going to go to Erin's team because that's the team that I'm on. When you go to Brand Kit, you can actually have several different brands that you go between, which is really nice. So you can have all of your logos in one place. You can have your palette in one place, so you're not having to type in hex colors over and over again. And you can actually upload fonts that you have purchased if you have a specific font that you like to use for your brand versus just Canva fonts. So now that we've done that, I'm going to go ahead and jump into a design. I'll just go to our team. So you can see some things that we've used for recent ads. You can create your own templates. There's folders, so you can see that I have created folders for us to share for Facebook ads and Instagram ads and other ads. So the whole team can see these, edit these, use these, download these, etc., which is really nice. I am going to show you now how to go from a template. So they actually give you suggested templates there, but I'm going to type in Instagram ads so you can just see that it's an option. And you can choose whether you want it to be in a story or the feed. You see that they're slightly different. And then they give you a bajillion different templates that you can go from. And they have obviously content that's all in there. So if you wanted to use these and just, you know, put in your business logo and what have you, you can do that. I personally just like to use it for just the format. And then you can plug in your own links, your own font, your own images, etc. You can see in elements, they give you a lot of different graphics, videos. You can make these animated if you would like an animated ad. You can choose the shape that you want it to be. Pretty awesome. So I highly recommend playing with Canva. It's a lot less expensive monthly than a lot of the other design programs available. Really easy for beginners. So yeah, if you have any questions about Canva or you'd like any additional looms on things, please let Aaron know and he can assign that out to me and I can give you some more information. Highly recommend starting with the free version and just dipping your toe in. I think that everyone can love Canva because it's easy to use.
Awesome. Thank you, Savannah. What an amazing girl she is. So, you know, she kind of walked us through all the different pieces, but I will say, you know, just for me, as just personally, is I feel like I'm decently creative. I'm not amazingly creative. Savannah, it's her brilliance. And so I let her do her jam. But usually the way that it'll work is I'll start her with an idea. she'll drop me then some response. So that was what she dropped. These are Canva links. So she just drops me straight links, which is awesome, because then all I have to do is click on them from my phone. I can tell you if I like the way they look or not look. So I gave her back my comments back, which is, you know, I like this. Are you gonna drop a CTA button and the logo, call to action, and the logo. I love the format of this one, but the image doesn't scream relax in the way I would want it to. Just give her some like tips on things I'd like her to try. And then she sends me over some updates, and then we land on what we want to use. So I think it's a nice back and forth, because my experience with other programs is like creative programs are expensive, you know, and Canva is a good solution for if you want something free to start with, and then you want to level up into something paid, like what Savannah's talking about, where there's some team sharing options and some different bells and whistles. I loved how she's like, I would encourage you to try the team, or to try the free. Let me sell you on how rad yeah, give us some money for that one, Canva. Like that was a good promo for that one. But I wanted to show you guys. So obviously all of these ads, as you learn more, as you click in on the website, takes you back to our funnel. You don't always have to have funnels, especially if you're driving people back to your stand. You don't need something like this where I'm creating new pages every time I'm creating something, because I am not a brick and mortar. I can't send them to my front door. They can't talk to somebody in a window like you can as you come through your drive-through. So for you, like a lot of your promo materials, it's going to be even easier, because for me, the promo materials are just the start of mine. And then I got to go build out all the meat and potatoes behind it of, you know, the opt-in page, to the squeeze page that takes them into buying it, then the asset that they're going to get once they buy it. So for you, I think the beauty is as you set up your marketing plan, just putting those key dates in place. And that also gives you an on-ramp for whoever's going to help you with your creative. And it can let you test people, right? Like maybe you don't have somebody doing all your creative right now, or maybe all the creatives on you. I know there were years that Wes did all the creative before we brought on Stephanie, but there's a lot of stress in that, because you as the visionary have to come up with the idea, then you have to flesh out the idea, then you got to push it downstream to your operational people. If you have those in place, if you have some sort of plan in place, it gives you an on-ramp into all those things, because then you can roll that out to team. And you can say, hey, this is what I was thinking for the next quarter. Even if it's just one quarter at a time, it's better than nothing, you know, and then give them 1 month in advance is better than nothing, you know, giving them some on-ramp. And then you can test out new creative people. Hey, will you try something on Canva for me? Hey, and what I'll do a lot of times is I'll totally R&D, rob and duplicate. I'll totally like get out there and, hey, I liked the way this person did this, and this person did this, and this person did this. Hey, will you go try and come up with something along those lines? And then you as a visionary have given them the creative fodder that they need to go and come up with something beautiful, and then push it back to you. And then you as the leader have all the power to veto if you don't like it. No. Savannah and I just had to have a conversation pretty recently on our 555. We talked about it on Ops L10 on Thursdays. Sorry, on the Ops Experts Club on Thursday, where on our 555, on our review, our quarterly reviews, one of the things not working for her was she said, hey, I don't want you to come in and it's sensitive with my creative. Like, I just want you to tell me how it is. Like, do you like it? Do you not like it? Don't feel bad about hurting my feelings. Yeah, but I'm like, Savannah's this artist. Like, I don't want to, like, who am I? But at the same time, I, as the visionary for Collab Team, have something I'm looking for too. And so there's probably some push and pull in the creative process, but I think giving people the time to come up with first iteration that then you can veto if you want to veto it, or offer suggestions on how it can get better, you're investing in somebody that's divesting you of stress. Right? Like you're investing in somebody. Drew's really big on empower the people. Don't keep all the keys. Like empower people to do things for you so that then they have the ability to show you what they can do. Drew, do you want to speak to that just for a minute, just to break us up a little? Because I feel like I've been talking too long. What are your thoughts on empowering people to do new things?
Yeah, I mean, I had an experience with my aunt actually does digital marketing. And when I was going to open my coffee shop here, I was working on some ideas for my logo, and we went back and forth. I mean, it might have been a lot different because she's family, but we went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth on the creative process of what this logo is going to look like and what we're going to include in it. And oh, it can't look like clip art. And I'm like, well, what if I want it to look like clip art? Like, I want it something simple. But yeah, I mean, empowering people is fantastic, because not only does it take weight off of your shoulders, but then it also teaches them, gives them the opportunity to grow their skills. And I mean, surrounding yourself with people who are passionate and invest in themselves is probably one of the best places to be.
I mean, realistically, Drew, when I met you, you were a barista and you stumbled into helping Cody with some fixes, right? Like that's where it started. Like you were just a kid, like like just long-haired hippie, swole out, dude, right? Like, but you were slinging coffee out windows. But then how did it happen when you started with Cody and Fixed Machines?
I mean, maybe that's kind of how I am, because that's kind of the way that my path ran at Roasters. He just came in one night. I always stayed really late closing because Jimmy, shout out to Jimmy, was my manager at the time, never checked my time card. So I took my sweet time and I made sure that store was spotless. But I stayed extra late one night while Cody was changing out steam ones, and I just, I helped him out with what little you can help out when you don't know anything about what you're doing. So he walked me through it, and I, obviously I showed a little bit of interest, and so he started telling me when he'd be there doing service runs, and I just learned little piece by little piece, and that led into other things such as the supply store. I mean, when I was managing the supply store back when it was a closet at Richland.
Right.
And I had a spreadsheet. I still have the spreadsheet dated and everything from when I made it on my Google Drive. I mean, that was where it started. Actually, like record keeping of, okay, how many bags of rubber bands do we have? How many Sharpies do we have? Sharpies were like gold back then. I know managers probably were sitting on stockpiles like dragons on their gold because they just take them home with them in their pockets at the end of the shift. But yeah, I mean, it was started like that. I mean, I was always empowered. I was always given the opportunity to learn and grow. And so I feel like that's probably why I take that route with most of the people that I work with. And I mean, it's taken me a long ways. I've failed a lot. I'm not going to lie. I've failed constantly, but that's how you learn. That's how you learn to have, I think, with my people, when they'd fail, it was okay with me because I know that I failed at least once or twice to learn that exact same skill. And letting people fail is such a huge part of development.
That's good. I love it. Ben, how did you start? Just interesting. It's interesting to hear origin stories. Like how did you start doing operations-based stuff? Like, how did that start for you? I mean, I've seen the early pictures of Ben. Let me tell you what, I wouldn't have thought director of operations, you know what I mean, for 150 employees. Tell me how did that play out? Like, what's your origin story?
Well, I cut my hair. That was the first part. No, it was when we transitioned to having regional managers. We'd actually started structuring. I think it's when we brought you in because Taryn was leaving. So it was the kind of the start of it, and we went with a regional manager structure. And I think it's just a matter of like, my brain is very like operation, organization. I hate chaos. I hate risk. Like, so I just naturally identify all these things. I'm like, oh, that's gonna be a problem. 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 And so I think just in my role as regional, that came out a lot more, and being able to identify like, okay, what's working now, but like what's not going to work in 3 months from now. This thing is clearly not going to work. We should probably address it. Right. So I think I just sort of I evolved and grew, and same as Drew, I was given the opportunity to sort of develop and make mistakes and learn on the job and sort of evolve into this position where now because I had been there so long and I had my fingers in basically every little hole of the business, like I knew how everything ran because I had been doing it the entire time, and I was probably the one that went like, well, that's a problem, we should fix it. Yep. So it was a very natural progression, and then, yeah, it was absolutely a matter of like making sure, like when I was coming up from regional out of manager, to try and empower the people beneath me to develop and grow. I'm a very hands-on person, so that was like my more difficult route, was empowering people beneath me. But at some point I was like, guys, I can't do everything. Like, I need you to do something too.
That's good. Like, cause that's right. That hits it right on the nose, right? Is that you come to the place where you become the bottleneck. You become the choking point. Like, you can only do so much, and then you start dropping the balls, and then you don't like the way that you feel about yourself because you recognize you're dropping the balls. So then you have a choice, right? Either you start making excuses about the balls that you're dropping, or you decide, hey, I'm probably going to have to get brave and hand off some of the stuff. And we talked about that a little bit early on with delegate and elevate, of how do you determine what are the things you should hand off? And I would say keep the things that bring you joy, like keep the things that are your passion source, and look to hand off the things that don't bring you joy. You know, we had Lindsay on and she talked about, and she hates payroll. She hates the bookkeeping. My advice to her would be that's the first thing that you can hand off. And if there's some intricacy on why you do it a certain way, create an SOP, create a standard operating procedure of why you do it a certain way, and then watch people as you hand it off and make sure it still gets executed. I'm not just suggesting you cut it loose and just be like, I hope that works out. Like give them a good on-ramp, but at the same time, find people like Ben who love ops, you know, find people like Drew who love training, and start handing off some of the things that you want to. For me, it was Savannah loves creative. So why would I hold on to that? I know I'm mediocre at it. Savannah like lives and breathes for it. The lady paints murals on walls. Like the lady is one of the most gifted artists I know. Why wouldn't I give her things that are creative from a collab perspective? Same thing. There's one of the guys on our team's name is Jesh. Jesh is brilliant with video. Why would I try and take over our video stuff? Like what could I possibly offer video? Like I can shoot, I can stand here and talk, but I'm not going to be good at like pulling up the different intricacies and chopping everything all down and splicing it all up to make a 1-minute teaser. That's like, you want to ask me to do the most miserable thing in my life? All like this and make a 1-minute teaser. Like I'm an over analyzer. I'm a high fact finder. I'm going to think about, well, what was all the details that's go in to make a teaser? Whereas Josh can do broad stroke, splice it up, produce it back and get it back to me within an hour. Yes, I need to do that. And I think it's really important to be looking for people that have a knack and then give them a shot. And
That's right.
That frees you up from making excuses. That frees you up from feeling bad about yourself and not being able to do everything. And it gets off your plate the things that you don't find a passion for. Drew, do you have something that you're chewing on?
No, I just 100% agree. It's nice to, and when you give somebody something that they're so good at, yeah, you feel weightless, because then first of all, you don't have to do that miserable thing you didn't want to do.
Yeah.
But then you get to see somebody be filled with joy doing something that they really like.
I'll tell you what, something that probably not a lot of people on this call know. Ryan, that's not on the screen because he's too cool for that, but he's listening right now. I see him. Ryan, yeah, yo. Ryan spoke into my life something probably a year ago. And we were talking about details. I was helping him with a project, and he said, hey, you just need to be straight with me on if you can do that or not. And I said, I'm not sure I can do that. Like, I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed, but I have this like duty. There's a strong sense of duty in my personality, right? And so I'm like, I don't know, bro, I'm feeling pretty overwhelmed. I'm not sure if I can show up to do that, but doesn't everybody feel like that though? Like trying to back myself into it anyway, even though I told him I probably couldn't do it. And he's like, no, not everybody feels like that, you know? And it was like such a good realization to me. Not everybody feels like I feel. Like there's a lot, I carry a lot of stress. I carry a lot of details in my brain. I'm overwhelmed a lot of days, and I need to be looking for release valves for myself to drop my stress levels. And the way that I can drop my stress levels is by giving somebody else who doesn't feel like I feel opportunity to grow in something that they're already good at and are probably going to produce something better than me, even if I gave all my time to it in the first place. I'm promising you that I would spend 5 times minimum the amount of time as Jesh does on creating teasers, and they wouldn't turn out as cool because I'm old and I'm not like he's right in the mix. He's fresh. He's a smart kid. He's super good with digital stuff. And that was a win. It's a win for him because he gets to grow a skill. It's a win for me because I get to release some stress, and it works out well. So just a plug for looking for ways that you can hand off things. If marketing isn't your jam, like all the way through this, like this is full transparency, all the way through this whole month, as we wind up the marketing month, it was awkward coming into this month for me because I told the guys, it's like, this is Coffee Experts Club. And I'm basically saying, I'm not the expert. Let's go find somebody else who is. But I feel like that part of that's the brilliance, right? Is you're not going to be the expert at everything as you run company. And part of being good at what you do at the top is recognizing talent in other people and affording them the opportunity to go and try and see how it turns out. Because then you might be really surprised. It's probably going to turn out better than when you did it. If you'll just give them the opportunity, and that works out better for you in the long run.
And the great thing about Canva is they can have a free login. So it doesn't cost you anything.
It doesn't cost
you literally nothing.
Well, hey, do me a favor, and I'll do this all the time. So like I was on a call with Josh last night, and I'm like, hey, I'd really like to figure out our Google Analytics. Like it's something, we have an account. I've got, a couple pixels that we can drop places, but it's not good. Will you just go and spend 2 hours? I know it's a budgeted cost. I gave them a 2-hour budget. Go figure out Google Analytics for me. I'm not asking you to it doesn't have to be brilliant, but these are the things I'd like to track when people hit our pages. Can you go try and figure that out? What did that cost me? A very minimal amount. And it takes that stress off of me. And I promise you, a month from now, if I keep that on the radar, we're going to have something so much better than if I went and dicked around with it at my price per hour when I could be going and billing out my time and affording that down to an opportunity. Because Jesh said, I don't know anything about it. I said, great, I don't know much. So go and figure it out and bring it back. So even if it's like Ben was saying, hey, Canva is where I hear, let's say you're the owner of a coffee stand, you want to start doing marketing, but you suck. You're like, hey kid that I see some potential in, will you go sign up for a free Canva account, play around with their templates, push me back some ideas, and then at least you're able to give some feedback. And then maybe you capture some other things. You go poach off of some other coffee players that you really respect that are just out ahead of you. Man, grab some good stuff on their social medias, push that at your kid, have him go and dick around with Canva and figure out some good stuff, push you back, and then start trying to post some stuff. I think easy on-ramps. Keep it easy for yourself. I want to show you one more thing, and then we're going to move to questions around this. So this is just, I wanted to talk to you guys about easy. So this is the digital asset that I give to people when they opt in for annual planning. And the only reason I'm sharing it with you is just the thought of keep it simple. It doesn't have to be complex, So for me, for annual planning, this is how we do annual planning when I do them with people, is we talk through the company's ethos. I've got an ethos and I'll show it to you down below, but I have them review it. And then what resonates with you most as you review the ethos. If you don't have an ethos, man, drop down 3 or 4 things that you want to really emphasize in the next year and ask your people what resonates with you about that. And what do you think about that? It's just it stirs up community, stirs up collective thought, gets other people thinking about the business other than just you. So for us, this is our ethos. It's our vision and our mission, our guiding values, which is our internal compass, our service promises, which is our external results, and then our wow filter. Everything should be taken through this when it comes to how we're making decisions. So I just asked them to go through the ethos, tell me what resonates with you. So that was the first thing. Then I give a time for reflection. Please give these questions some thoughts below and write out your answers. What are we doing well? What could we be doing better? What should be fixed or cut? I think this one here is probably the most critical question. There's plenty of things that we're carrying that we need to decide, is it just dead weight or are we going to fix it? But no more. We're not just going to dick around with, I use dick around so many times on this call. We're not just going to mess around like carrying things too long. Should this just be cut out or are we going to fix it? And if it's determined to be fixed, then that's when it should be added to some of your things like rocks. So the next thing we would talk about is the vision or traction organizer. That's a tool within EOS, which I build out with people. So no pre-work is needed. It's essentially just where are we going? What's our key identifiers? What makes us different than other people? What's our guarantee? How are we going to get to our goal this next year? How do we shake that down? And then we take it into issues and rock discussion. This is what's things facing us right now. What can be turned into a rock? Rock in the EOS model is just something that's going to take longer than a couple of weeks to determine. So this can probably take us about 3 months to get that done. It's considered as a big project for the quarter. So what are the issues that need to be turned into rocks? And that's the whole annual planning agenda. Nothing complex, doesn't have to be crazy, just gives you a map. And then, I just give them some assets like this, the vision traction organizer. This is the issues list. And that's how it works out. So I share all that with you to say, it's not complex. It's not crazy. What you do with your marketing doesn't have to be complex, doesn't have to be crazy, but you do need to start somewhere. And that would be my recommendation.